So welcome to the Plan and Progress tab on the City of Light webpage. My name's Anthony John, the founder of the City of Light project here in Glastonbury. So before I started, I just wanted to share a little bit about the Conscious Portal and how that marries up and comes together with the City of Light project. So I've prepared a slide presentation here which I'm going to take you through. It's only a short time, but it will bring you into much more awareness of the project and what's at the heart of it and what the plan is. So here we go. So as consciousness expands faster towards unity consciousness, from the 3D, 4D world through the portal to 5D New Earth, it begs the question, what's next? And the City of Light is really an example of what is next. Can we join together as a group of people in the conscious portal? Conscious people coming together, teachers, students, people sharing the message of consciousness. Can we do that and together somehow create the City of Light here in the UK? So let me take you through these slides. We of course remember the great man Gandhi himself. He said some great things, but these two things really jump out at me. He said, as human beings, our greatness lies not so much in being able to remake the world, that is the myth of the atomic age, as in being able to remake ourselves. And really that's where we're at. We're on this transition, this journey from 3D, 4D world, the world where the rules and laws of that paradigm include cause and effect, which allow so many of us to have lived the life of a victim. Whereas when we transcend that, we start to observe how the victim is living at effect. And if we live at cause, we know without doubt that we create every experience that we ever come through. Also, of course, the 3D world supplies us with the opportunity to live in duality, where we make things right or wrong, good or bad. There's war and peace. Everything around you, as you become more aware, you see as duality. And of course, what Gandhi is probably one of his most famous sayings is, be the change you want to see in the world. So as we transcend across to the more 5D way of being that more loving creature, that more unity creature, that person that knows that together as one we can make massive difference if we do live and learn to love our neighbour as thyself, as some old words used to say. So let's have a look at who else we have here. Martin Luther King. Do you remember that great man? He said these great words: darkness cannot drive out darkness, only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate, only love can do that. And how poignant those words are for the City of Light. So imagine creating a city where the energy of the inhabitants of that city is love itself. You know, that we live unconditionally together with each other and the other tribes and the plants and all the creatures of the planet. If we could do that, how different would it be? And for me, that we're at that transcending stage where we are a part of that journey. Those open to consciousness, those very people that have put their name down to be on the conscious portal, to look to expand their consciousness. We are the seed that's been sown, that's coming and moving towards the light. And sharing that love is the way that we can bring that into fruition. Martin also said these great words: faith is taking the first step, even when you don't see the whole staircase. For me, this represents the old 3D paradigm of living, or the need to live, with massive certainty of the future. And this is just not living in the moment, of course. So the 5D paradigm doesn't live like that at all. It lives in the moment, trusting, with faith, letting go of all fear, knowing as we move forward that with certainty in ourselves, with love in our hearts, everything that happens perfectly and exactly as it's meant to happen, and that whatever happens, we know that we can deal with that. So great words indeed from Martin. Then of course we had the famous John Lennon, and he said, of course, imagine all the people living life in peace. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us and the world will be as one. So let's do that. Let's see if together a group of great conscious minded, committed people can make that happen. So imagine a new city. Imagine a city built on unconditional love and unity consciousness. Imagine a city of light. So let's all join in and let the world be as one, just as John shared with us. So look, here's a few questions which people always ask me. So what's the plan? So from the original vision, there was some visuals that came to me, and some of these visuals have been converted, shall we say, or taken some of my original sketches of what a house might look like when I had my first Atlantean Reiki attunement, as you may have heard on the vision recording. I actually created some sketches of what a house might look like, and this is the architect of the City of Light's interpretation of what that house might look like. I just saw houses of pyramids, and on the actual architectural drawing video on the main menu bar, I'm going to show you more of the drawings that Nima, our architect, has created. But here's one of them, this very funky off-the-grid house, completely designed around sacred geometry. So at the heart of this is the key of life, and everything relating to this fits neatly and tidily into the key of life. So imagine living in a dwelling such as that. And it may not necessarily look like that. This is just Nima's impression of my original drawing. There are many drawings to be had and done yet, but there you go. But with a blank sheet of paper, I believe that everything is possible. So how might we eat differently? See, if you eat consciously as opposed to unconsciously, that would be the difference between 3D dining and running into McDonald's and 5D dining. 5D dining is about growing food consciously. And there's a beautiful film out there, please check it out on the internet, by a guy called Paul, called Back to Eden. And it's just the most remarkable film and documentary about growing food consciously. So could we work together with our beautiful Mother Earth and actually grow food consciously? Food that would not only nourish us but heal us. And Back to Eden demonstrates this beautifully, along with, if you've never read the Anastasia series of books, then I suggest that that's a beautiful read. If you get Anastasia Book 1, it's part of what's known as the Ringing Cedar series. These books also show us, lead us in a direction and guide us to living a more conscious life with the Mother Earth and growing our food consciously, and how we can do that. So the City of Light project is based around both of these theories, which is a beautiful way for us to experiment and demonstrate to others what is possible, and especially on the eating front. So how might we make decisions differently? Of course, we live in a world with a vast array of different styles of government, and obviously if we're living in the Western world, we're very familiar with the style of government that we've got, the sort of democratic capitalist society that humanity has created as part of its journey. Now, it wouldn't be for me to make that wrong. That would be me sitting in duality, and I don't believe it's our job to go and try and change it. See it as wrong is just duality in action. So we know that we're challenged both politically, economically, socially right now, but actually how would it be about what needs to happen if we were 5D, if we truly made this transition across to being living in a more unconditionally loving state? How would we make decisions? It's a very interesting question. Would we work together as one? And let's really prove that this can be done. But it is a transition. You know, when you put a group of people together, the egos bounce into the fore, and it's very fascinating what happens. But we have a great model in Damanhur in northern Italy, a very conscious place to go visit, where 1,000 people over the last 35 years have now congregated together and are living in still quite a capitalistic way, but certainly a more conscious way, where they work on themselves, each other, they work for the universe, and definitely have created a beautiful little society, a growing society there, which is an example, and we certainly have great connection with them, and we'll be looking to have some support from them as we go forward. So could we live without money? That for me is one of the greatest questions, because money, of course, we ultimately have in many ways become slaves to money. At the end of the day, the whole capitalist society relies on the movement and flow of the energy of money. Now, let's not make it wrong. It's got us it's got us, but it's created, the perfect synergy of duality between the haves and the have-nots, so to speak. So it's got what we've got. It's all great, but what could we do differently so that we live without that duality, and we move into the 5D world where we could live with trust and faith? So could we live together as one? Trust and faith, of course, live hand in hand. So this is a beautiful way to look at it. So imagine each of us healing ourselves by working on our 3D selves, and to work in groups, which is a much more 4D way, and then working with the universe in a 5D way. So not really giving all of ourselves, but making sure that we work as individuals, as groups, and for the greater good, for the universe. The Conscious Portal, as you know, goes live on the 21st of December 2012. So if we're already beyond that into 2013, then the City of Light will already be benefiting from the magic of the people joining together as one in the portal. So the idea is, ultimately, this is the plan, that the funds raised, the 3D funds raised to create a 5D city, will be manifested, the idea is it will manifest a beautiful piece of land, just like this piece of land, here in the southwest of England. This is an example that I've used. It's an estate. And could it be that by joining together and sharing our physical and spiritual energies, that the purchase of this land becomes completely possible? It's 543 acres in total. Now 166 acres is already organic farmland, and 236 acres of it is woodland, and the rest is actually pasture land. These are all elements of what we would need to create a brand new city, and there are already 4 houses in the centre of this, which actually have 15 bedrooms, but it would act as the catalyst for the city centre, so to speak. And just because in the 3D world the human journey has created laws and many rules, assuming that they're still active in 2013, we will still need to have what our architect describes as our 3D wing flapping. He often describes us as a bird, one wing being 3D and the other wing being 5D, and we need to flap these wings in balance together. If we flap our 3D wing too heavily, then we tend to go around in circles, so it's finding that balance. But it's also knowing that we still have one foot in the 3D camp. So in the transitional times, which I had a beautiful mail the other day from James Tiburon, where he had channeled Archangel Metatron, and Metatron had talked about the transition after 2012 taking some 15 generations, potentially 300 years, for us to completely transcend into being a 5D experience here for humanity. So we are at the very first stage of that, and whilst we've still got our foot in the 3D camp and the rules and the laws are there, then we need to consider that and how we're going to handle that. So having this 4 houses in the centre can represent, from a planning viewpoint, the centre of the city, and of course you can manipulate and change some of those things, as opposed to just buying pasture land, which which is much more difficult to go and live and inhabit. There are also 2 other houses on the site which would give us 20 bedrooms completely to get started with, as well as other convertible buildings. Plus it has the beautiful river and lakes. It's just a wonderful place. So I prophesied that this could be the case, that imagine 1,000 conscious people sharing just £10 a month could purchase this whole beautiful piece of land and demonstrate what's possible, what conscious people who are flapping their 5D wing could in fact demonstrate to others what's possible, a new way for humanity to live. So this is how the Conscious Portal connects with the City of Light. The Conscious Portal technically is the vehicle to fund and bring the City of Light into the physical and spiritual realm. And by bringing conscious experts together as one, and by bringing those seeking to expand their consciousness, the scholars or learners or students together as one, and by bringing conscious experts and those seeking to live a more conscious experience together as one, imagine a vision of living in the City of Light together as one. So there you have it. That's the basic plan. This page will contain updates. We're also very keen to show completely transparently what happens to the funding that comes in. Approximately 50% goes to run the portal and pay the way for the team, so that individually they are looked after, but they're sharing of course in a group, and they are also sharing for the universe or the greater good of humanity and the planet Mother Earth and all of her tribes. And the scholars, for example, are really they're going to bring in some funding which they're sharing with the universe, sharing in the group, but are also learning for themselves as individuals. And the same for the teachers. So if we keep that model in mind, it helps us just go, okay, so I need to consider myself as the individual, but I am also part of the group, I'm also part of unity consciousness, and this is the sort of transitional stage for the human being at this moment, very important moment in time. So I trust that's given you a bit of an insight into the Conscious Portal and how the plan for creating the City of Light actually comes together with it. So thank you for listening. It's Anthony John here in Glastonbury signing out. So thank you very much for listening.